Next up, we have a new feature by Steve Sherrill. It's going to be a regular feature. We're calling it Narrow-Minded for us narrow gauge people. And what Steve's going to do is he's going to have shows himself and he's going to feature uh, manufacturers and modelers who practice narrow gauge. There's your introduction, Steve.
Thank you. Thank you. Well, as Thomas said, I guess I'm a narrow gauger. Been in ON30 now for about 25 years. I was in HON3 previous to that. So I think the question is, for ON30, what's actually new in ON30? And the real answer to that is probably very little, since Bachmann was the major manufacturer putting out the ON30, has stopped production for a while now. So what's happened? Well, with the availability of 3D printers, we've had entrepreneurs who have come forward to offer production of affordable engines and rolling stock in ON30 and an entirely new popular gauge, ON18. Tonight we have Carroll Creek Design, which is one of those entrepreneurs who is undertaking the production of ON30 and ON18 with 3D printers. And so I'd like to introduce the creators. That's Bob Gelmacher and Ryan Vegas. Bob is a regular on here, and Ryan, this is his first time. So, Bob, tell us a little bit about your design group and exactly what you're producing, if you would.
Okay. Well, I'm going to go with share a screen. We have a little presentation, and I want to make sure everybody is seeing that. Are you?
Yes.
Okay. And like Steve said, Ryan and I have decided to form a partnership under the name of Carroll Creek Design. And what we're going to do is we want to try to address some of the needs of the ON30 and the ON18 market. And in the beginning, I think for both of us, it really started as personal needs and interest. And here are some of the personal needs that I found that I needed and that I could create using 3D printing. I'm always looking for spacers or washers or bushings or something, things that I can't buy. So in the beginning, we were able to make those. Also down here in this particular block, some of the spacers that we use for scratch building. And also I didn't have any wheel pullers, so we decided to make the wheel pullers. The second thing that really was the driving force behind all this was I call it the Steves effect. And the Steves are Steve Sherrill and also Steve Fisher. Steve passed away earlier in the year, and we talked about him, but both of the Steves, when I got to know them and when Ryan and I would talk to them, always had an idea about what would really benefit the hobby, what kind of rolling stock. So we decided to take those suggestions and try to do something with them. Our primary focus is to design and create quality ON30 and O18 models, but not only those particular scales and gauges, realizing that there could be other folks that are needing things in, HO or even O scale. So, but even though our primary object is for the ON30 and ON18, and also to assist those modelers that require customizing unique models, because I think everybody that's in the hobby realizes that you can't always buy what you need at a hobby store, and a lot of times we just have to make it. Also, and this is kind of a little add-in, is customize and create custom control panels using Kevin Hunter's touch toggle technology. And lastly, I added this in, it's to make a little bit of money. I think anybody that's in business, if they don't have that in the back of their mind of why they're in business, the fact is they're trying to make a little bit of money to support their hobby or with their life. They're not telling the whole truth. So anyway, those are the reasons why we got into the business. our capabilities as a business is we use a number of different programs to do the design, and everything you see on here tonight, we're going to be talking about a lot of products, are all designed by us. But we use Autodesk Inventor and Autodesk Fusion 360, which are very, very flexible and comprehensive programs. We have access to Adobe Photoshop and Illustrator in case we have to do any artwork, Microsoft Visio, and Autodesk Eagle in case we have to do any circuit boards for these things. From a 3D printing standpoint, between us, we have three resin printers. These are the Elegoo Saturn 3 Ultras, which are very, very good printers, and three Prusa MK4s, which are our filament printers. We also have access to a laser. So if we have to do things like cutting wood decks for flat cars or anything along those lines, we have access to those machines. Matter of fact, we own those machines, so we can do it. I'm going to go through a series of pictures right now, and Ryan, please speak up at any time. And these are some of the products that we've offered. We've been to a couple of trade shows. We haven't been in business that long, only about a year, but we went to the Harrisburg show last year, and we also went to the Pittsburgh Narrow Gauge show. And we found that the products that we had were well received, and we were able to sell quite a few of these. So we think that this is an opportunity for us to actually help the hobby a lot. And we also are getting a lot of input from different vendors, but for different customers as to things that they would like to see. And that's the genesis of a lot of these products. Here you see a couple of ON30 or an ON30 Shay, and also an ON30 or ON18 Shay and an ON18 Porter. The picture that we have on the right-hand side is one of the Shays that's been doctored up a little bit. All of these are using the Kato 1109 drives. On the Porter, and in particular, we've offered that with a number of variations. Here it is with a longer full wood cab, a short wood cab, a steel cab, and then there's also a couple of variations on the actual stack configuration. We're not only looking at steam, but we're also looking at diesel or electric. These are two, the Fisher and the Barkus steeple cab are two cabs that were, or two engines that were developed by Ryan. The two diesels that you see here were developed by me. And again, all of these are using the Kato 1109 drives. These are one of the ideas that we got from Steve Sherrill. We needed a tender that would go behind some of the geared locomotives. That would also be a place where we could put batteries and also the receiver for dead rail. So we're offering three of those. One is one with coal or wood. One is a rounded corner tender, and another one is a fluted tender. All of these have the tops that come off so that you can get easy access to the electronics or battery. And on this particular one, the wood coal tender, we have a drive that has geared wheels on it. The gears aren't functioning, but somebody at Harrisburg said it would be nice to have something that would go behind a Shay. So we actually developed that truck, and that trunk can go on any of these particular tenders. On these, trucks, wheels, and couplers are included. Ron, you want to talk about your ON18 cars here?
Yeah. The ON18 cars started actually at the Harrisburg show also. Al, Judy, and I had a quick conversation at the very beginning of the show. And by the end of the show, that night when I went home, we developed about 4 different cars based off our discussion. And the 4-axle cars used standard N-gauge, any N-gauge truck you can put on. Typically, if you can see in the picture, you'll see the silver wheels. If you walk around the train shows and try to pick up some very old Rapido or Atlas N-scale cars with the big old chunky wheels, they seem to work the best in the ON18. We do have a truck that we are trying to develop now for the ON18 that'll take the N-scale wheels, and the truck itself will be a little bit more proportional to what the ON18 car will look like. But right now, that's what we're offering. We also, as you see on the bottom right hand, is a 2-axle that we just came out with. Those 4-axle ones are typically about 13 feet long. The 2-axle ones are going to be 8 foot long. Couplers for those, virtually any KD. I use the HO 146s. They give a lot more swing capability. A lot of these are being used on micros. That's the new fad going around, and everybody can get into a micro fairly inexpensively. And it can be done fairly quickly. You can complete a micro in less time than a layout. That's where I think what a lot of people with space problems that have a layout, they can do a micro, and these cars are going to fit that. They can take down. We've had one gentleman in Florida actually do a 8-inch radius or an 8-inch curve with the 2-axle ones, pulling our Shay around with them. So overall, they've been pretty good. We're going to have more of a line of the 2-axle ones coming out. We have a few different style cabooses.
I'm going to show those.
2-axle.
Yeah, I'm going to show those, Ryan, the cabooses.
The overall, we're just when we go to these shows, a lot of the guys are coming up talking with us what they want, what they're looking for in an ON18. They're just getting into it, and the ON30 stuff. That's, as Bob said, that's really what we're focusing on, what the customer's wanting. Performance wise, we're trying to keep the cost down. These are a good basic starting points. You can detail them as much as you want. You can do just about anything you want to them, but they're a good starting point and a fairly inexpensive starting point. Most of the 4-axle ON18 cars are $20 or less. The 2-axle ones typically about $15 or less in a kit form, and they're all printed, ready to go. Some of the ON30s that Bob have showing here, these are ready to run ON30 wooden desks, weighted cars. These have been very popular. The details are pretty incredible for what Bob has designed on these cars, and that 12-foot flat car is works great on a lot of different micros.
And again, these come ready to run. They have trucks, metal wheels, and I'm using the 148 couplers on these. Here's a couple more of the ON30 cars and an ON18 car that Ryan has developed.
We've done a lot of the steel gondolas for the ore. A lot of customers have asked for that, so we did that in an ON18.
Gotta wrap up, guys. Okay.
Are we out of time?
So
Yes.
give me a minute to conclude, but
Okay. I'll go real quick on these. These are some of the gondolas we have. Again, they're ready to run. Some of the cabooses in ON30 and ON18 that Ryan has worked on and developed. More cabooses. We talked about custom work. Here's 2 examples of it. This was a arch trestle that we had to build for our club, and this was a car where we had to actually extend the roof and decrease the width of the roof for a friend of ours. Some of the other miscellaneous details that are capable of 3D printers. Here's where you can find us, either on email, Facebook, or on the web. And like I said, please consider us in Carroll Creek if you have any needs that 3D printing can do for you. That's all we have.
Well, that was very interesting. Steve, you want any concluding comments?
Well, I would just like to say that most of the ON18 stuff that they are producing, the Shays, the Porters, they actually come in parts, 3 or 4 different parts. So they're easy to paint, and you can detail them up as any way you want. They're made for detailing. And I think that they're well worth the money. And the 109 drive just clips right in. So you have an excellent DC drive in there. And the drive units are less than $20 a piece.
We don't have to squeeze this in the last 5 minutes. We can do a part 2 cover those slides that you breezed through. So, that because we ran out of time, feature those drives. I mean, we give you a little license we could reschedule you next week or the week after, your discretion. Finish this up. Fair enough?
Fine with me.
Yeah, that'll be fine.
That'll be good.
Yeah, don't mean to rush you, but of
Bob and Ryan, thank you.
Hmm.
course, now it's self-centered because the next presentation's mine. But thank you for this evening here.